to Deep Sleep Stories. If these stories have helped you through restless nights, please leave a review. Reviews are what help this podcast grow, reach more listeners, and stay alive. Without them, even something meaningful can slowly disappear. So if this show has brought you comfort, that small act truly helps keep it going. Now, settle in, and let's begin.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, a quiet place where your thoughts can soften and your body can rest. And tonight, you'll be carried to a floating dock on a calm lake where a gentle nap becomes the doorway to a dreamy, meditative night. Take a slow breath in, as if you're sipping in cool, clean air. Let it fill the space behind your ribs, the gentle room inside your chest, and then let the breath drift out unhurried, like a feather finding its way down. As you listen, you don't need to do anything at all. You don't need to solve or plan or remember. The day has already done its work, and now you can set it down. Let your shoulders fall, as though the muscles there are melting into warmth. Let your jaw loosen, your tongue resting easily. Let the space between your eyebrows smooth, as if a quiet hand is brushing away every little crease of effort. Imagine the first hint of evening settling around you. The light is soft and diluted, like honey stirred into water. Somewhere there's the hush of distant trees, the kind of sound you only notice when you're finally still. And there's water too, nearby and patient, breathing in slow, wide circles. Breathe again, and as you exhale, let your attention drift down through your body. The back of your head heavy with comfort, the neck unknotted, the arms sinking, the hands uncurled. Your heartbeat steady and kind, doing its simple work without asking anything from you. If thoughts appear, let them come and go as they like. You don't have to chase them, you don't have to push them away. You can simply watch them float past like little leaves on the surface of a lake, each one carried by a current that knows where it's going. And now, with the next gentle breath, let the story arrive. There is a place where the land leans down to meet a lake, and the lake leans up to meet the sky. It is not far from anywhere in particular, and it feels as though it has always been there. The trees around it are old and friendly, their branches lifting and lowering with the breeze like slow green waves. The air carries a cool sweetness, the faintest trace of pine and sun-warmed bark. Along the shore, the sand is pale and fine, scattered with smooth stones that have been turned and polished for years. A narrow path leads through the grasses, which whisper softly when someone passes. The grasses are tall enough to brush a knee, and they bend without complaint. Everything here seems to know the value of yielding, of allowing. Out on the water, a floating dock rests like a long wooden sigh. It isn't anchored in a rigid way. It's tethered gently, given enough freedom to rise and fall with the smallest swell. The boards are weathered to a silvery softness, and if you looked closely, you could see tiny lines in the grain, stories written by sunlight and rain. The lake itself is calm, but it is not still. It is alive with quiet motion, a slow drift of reflections, a wandering shimmer, where the light touches. Near the edges, reeds stand in little clusters, their thin green bodies drawing delicate lines against the water. Dragonflies zip and hover, their wings catching glints of brightness, and then they vanish, like thoughts that have decided to become something else. On this evening, when the sky is easing toward twilight, there is a person who comes down the path with an easy pace, as if they have nowhere else they need to be. Their name doesn't matter in the way names usually do. It can be any name. It can be no name at all. In the story, they are simply the traveler, and the traveler has learned something important over time. The world is softer when you move through it slowly. The traveler carries a small bag, light enough that it doesn't pull on the shoulder. Inside is a folded blanket, a book that has been read many times, and a thermos of warm tea. There is also a little tin, the kind that used to hold mints, now repurposed for something kinder, dried lavender and a pinch of chamomile, gathered and saved for evenings like this. They pause at the edge of the shore, not because they're uncertain, but because they enjoy the moment before stepping onto the dock, the threshold where land ends and water begins. The lake breathes against the sand with tiny rhythmic laps, a sound that could lull even the most restless part of the mind. The traveler watches the ripples for a moment, as if reading a familiar language. Then with a quiet step, they move onto the floating dock. The dock responds the way a well-mannered animal might, acknowledging the traveler's weight with a gentle dip, then steadying. The boards are cool beneath their feet. There's a faint scent of sun-baked wood and lake water, a smell that says, "You are here, and here is safe." Halfway down the dock, there is a wide section, like a small platform, and on it lies something that always seems to be waiting. It is a low, woven mat, simple, sturdy, left there by someone long ago, as if the dock itself asked for comfort and someone obliged. The traveler smiles at the sight of it, as though meeting an old friend. They set their bag down, unhurried. The blanket comes out first, shaken gently so it catches air and settles in soft folds. The fabric is thick but breathable, a comforting weight that promises to hold warmth without trapping it. The traveler spreads it over the mat, smoothing it with the palms of their hands, each stroke slow and careful. Then they sit at the edge of the platform, legs crossed, looking out over the water. The surface reflects the sky like a half-remembered dream, pale blues deepening into a tender indigo, with a ribbon of peach near the horizon. Farther out, the lake becomes a darker mirror, and the reflections begin to blur, as if the day is being gently erased. The traveler takes the thermos and pours a little tea into the cup. Steam rises in a thin thread and disappears. They sip, and the warmth travels down like a quiet reassurance. The taste is mild, honeyed, with a hint of something floral. It's the kind of flavor that doesn't demand attention, it simply offers comfort. When the cup is empty, the traveler sets it aside. They reach into the tin and lift the lavender and chamomile to their nose, breathing in the fragrance. It feels like a soft, door opening somewhere behind the eyes, leading inward. They close the tin and tuck it back into the bag. The book stays inside. Not because reading wouldn't be pleasant, but because there is a different kind of story being told tonight, one written in water and wind and light. The breeze moves across the lake, gentle and consistent. It brings the softest touch of coolness, and it carries sounds. The distant call of a bird settling in for the night, the whisper of leaves brushing one another, the faint creak of the dock's ropes as they adjust. The traveler leans back, palms on the wood, and lets their gaze drift upward. Above the treetops, the sky is spacious. It seems to expand the more you look at it, making room for every thought to dissolve. The traveler has come here for a nap, the kind of nap that doesn't feel like an interruption but like a return. A nap that is not an escape from the day but a deepening into it, a soft folding of awareness like a blanket drawn up to the chin. They lie down carefully as if settling into a nest. The blanket is pulled over the body, tucked around the shoulders. Their head rests on a rolled corner of fabric, just enough to cradle the neck. The dock shifts slightly beneath them, barely a movement, a tiny float and settle, like a lullaby you can feel. The traveler's eyes are open at first, watching the sky. Clouds, thin and stretched, drift like slow ships. The last of the sun's light lingers, and the water holds it in trembling pieces. Breathing becomes deeper. The traveler's chest rises and falls, unforced. The air tastes clean with a hint of mineral coolness, like smooth stones. Each exhale seems to carry something away. The last tightness in the shoulders, a lingering worry, a leftover fragment of noise from the day. And as the traveler relaxes, something subtle begins to happen, the way it does when a person is truly safe. The lake, which has been quietly watching all along, seems to draw a little closer. Not physically, not in any threatening way, but in a sense that the boundary between the traveler and the world is becoming softer. The sound of water lapping is no longer outside. It is inside too, in the rhythm of breath, in the slow beat of the heart. The dock continues its tiny motions, and each one is a reminder that support does not have to be rigid to be strong. The traveler feels held, and the mind receiving this message begins to loosen its grip on everything it thought and it had to carry. At the edge of hearing, a new sound arrives. A faint chiming, like the soft meeting of glass and wind. It is so gentle that it might be imagined. The traveler listens without trying too hard. The sound comes again, a small, sweet note, and then another. Somewhere near the shore, half hidden by reeds, a tiny wind chime hangs from a branch. It has been there for a long time, forgotten by most, remembered only by the breeze. Its tones are delicate and irregular, the kind that can't be counted or predicted. They simply happen, like kindness. The traveler's eyelids become heavier. Their gaze blurs. The edges of the world soften. And then, As if the story itself takes a step back, the traveler begins to drift into sleep. In the gentle space between waking and dreaming, the lake changes its language. The surface of the water, still calm, begins to glow in places, as if moonlight has found a way to shine from underneath. It isn't bright, nothing harsh is allowed here. It is a mild luminescence, like the pale belly of a cloud when the moon hides behind it. Small circles appear, widening, fading. Something moves beneath the dock. Slow, curious, the dock rises and falls with an even softer rhythm now, as though it has decided to rock the traveler more deliberately. In sleep, the traveler's face is peaceful. The brow is smooth, the mouth relaxed. Their hands rest loosely on the blanket. Their breathing is steady, a quiet tide. And the lake, noticing this trust, offers a gift. A faint mist begins to form over the water, the kind of evening haze that sometimes arrives when day and night meet. It curls and drifts, thin as silk. It doesn't obscure. It adds. It makes the shoreline and the trees look slightly farther away, as if the dock is floating in a world of its own. The reeds near the edge sway in slow motion, and the dragonflies have vanished, replaced by tiny specks of light that hover close to the surface. They might be fireflies or reflections of stars that are not yet visible. They might be something else entirely. The traveler dreams without effort. In the dream, the dock is longer than it was before, extending farther into the lake, reaching toward the center where the water is deepest and darkest. The traveler is still lying down, still wrapped in the blanket, but now the blanket feels like a cloud, weightless and warm at once. Above, the sky is a deeper blue, and stars appear like soft pinpricks in velvet. They do not sparkle sharply. They glow steadily, like small lanterns hung far away. The traveler does not feel alone, though there is no one else in sight. The feeling is like being watched over by something vast and gentle, by the trees, by the lake, by the sky itself. The dock rocks, and with each movement, the traveler sinks deeper into comfort. The edges of thought dissolve further, until the mind becomes a wide, quiet room with the windows open. Somewhere in the dream, a figure emerges from the mist on the water. Not a person exactly, but a shape made of calm. It rises near the dock, close enough to be noticed, far enough to feel safe. It is the Lakekeeper, an old presence that belongs to the water the way moonlight belongs to night. The Lakekeeper is not frightening. It does not intrude. It is simply there, a guardian made of mist and reflection. Its face is indistinct, as if it changes depending on who sees it. Sometimes it resembles a kindly elder, sometimes a friend, sometimes the memory of someone who once made you feel safe. It does not speak with words because words would be too sharp. Instead, it offers a feeling, a gentle understanding that everything can be set down here. The traveler, still asleep, receives this feeling. Their breath slows further, deepening, smoothing. The body becomes heavy in the best way, as if gravity has turned into a blanket. The Lakekeeper drifts alongside the dock, and the water beneath it begins to hum with a soft vibration. It is not a sound you hear with the ears. It is a sound you feel in the bones, like a purr. In the dream, the dock begins to move. Not quickly, not in any way that would startle. It glides as if the lake is carrying it, guiding it with invisible hands. The ropes that once tethered it to the shore have loosened, not broken, simply released from their duty. The dock is free to wander a little, to float where it wants. The traveler remains asleep, undisturbed. They are carried gently away from the shore toward the center of the lake. The mist thickens slightly, wrapping the dock in a soft cocoon of air. The shoreline fades until it is only a suggestion, dark shapes of trees, a pale line of sand. The world becomes mostly water and sky, and in this wide, open place, the dream grows even quieter. The dock glides over water that looks like ink, yet when the traveler's dream vision peers down, it sees depth, not darkness. It sees swaying forests of underwater plants, long and graceful. It sees stones arranged like sleeping animals. It sees fish moving in slow silver arcs, their bodies catching the faint glow from above. Everything under the surface is unhurried. Above, the stars seem closer. The traveler's dreaming mind drifts among them, not as a thought, but as a feeling. The cool air brushes the traveler's cheek. The blanket cloud rises and falls with each breath. The Lakekeeper remains nearby, a presence at the edge of perception. Every so often, a gentle ripple spreads outward, as if the lake is sighing in contentment. In the dream, the dock arrives at a place where the water is perfectly still. It feels like the heart of the lake, a center point where all ripples soften and disappear. The dock stops gliding, and it begins to rock in the smallest possible motions, like a cradle barely moving. Here, the mist opens, revealing something unexpected. On the water's surface, scattered like floating petals, are tiny luminous lily pads. They are not large enough to hold anything. They are simply there, glowing softly, each one a small circle of light. They drift around the dock, and as they move, they leave faint trails, like slow brush strokes in the dark. The traveler's dream mind watches them with quiet fascination. The lily pads seem to respond to attention, drifting a little closer, then drifting away, playful but gentle. A single lily flower rises among them, unfolding. It is pale, almost translucent, and it glows from within. The petals open slowly, as if savoring the act of becoming. At the center is a soft golden light, like the memory of sunrise. The Lakekeeper drifts nearer, and the flower's glow brightens slightly, bathing the underside of the dock in warmth. The traveler, still asleep, feels this warmth seep through the blanket cloud and into the body. It is the kind of warmth that tells the nervous system, you are safe. You can let go. The traveler's shoulders drop even more. The hands loosen. The breath becomes so slow, it seems like the lake's own breath. In the dream, the Lakekeeper lifts a hand, if it can be called a hand, and the mist swirls, gathering above the traveler like a canopy. Within the mist, faint images appear, not sharp like memories, but soft like impressions. There is a glimpse of a morning kitchen, sunlight on a table, a glimpse of a path through trees, a glimpse of laughter like wind chimes in the distance. Each image appears and dissolves before it can demand anything. They are not reminders of tasks. They are reminders of gentleness. The traveler's dream mind floats through these impressions and feels a simple gratitude, wordless and warm. The lily flower releases a few petals, and they land on the water, becoming small glowing boats. They drift in slow circles around the dock, as though the lake is playing a quiet game with itself. Time in the dream is not measured. It is simply a feeling of unfolding. The dock continues its tiniest rocking, and the traveler sinks deeper into sleep. The dream grows quieter still, like a room where someone has turned down the lights. Eventually, even the images in the mist fade. The lily pads dim slightly, still present, but less distinct. The Lakekeeper becomes more like the air itself, a comfort that does not need a form. The traveler's sleep deepens into a calm, dark lake of its own. Above, the stars remain steady, patient as ever. Far away on the shore, trees stand guard. The wind chime rings once, very softly, and then is quiet. The dock, still floating, still supporting, makes the smallest creak as it settles into perfect balance. The water barely moves. The world holds its breath in a peaceful way. And somewhere in that quiet, the traveler's body remembers how to rest. It remembers the ancient rhythm of sleep, the loosening, the surrender, the gentle drop into a place where nothing is required. The traveler's face, in the dim light, looks younger, softer, as if sleep is smoothing away the day's edges. Their breathing is deep and even, their heartbeat calm and dependable. The lake continues its slow, subtle rocking, a lullaby without melody. In time, though time is only a suggestion, the dock begins to drift again, guided by currents that are kinder than hands. The mist shifts, opening a path. The glowing lily pads follow like quiet companions, their light faint but steady. The dock glides back toward the shore, unhurried, as if it knows there is no need to rush. The traveler remains asleep, carried gently, protected by the blanket cloud and the lake's soft attention. As the shore grows closer, the shapes of trees become clearer. The reeds return, their thin bodies drawing lines against the water. The sand appears pale again, and the path through the grasses waits patiently, as if it has never moved. The dock eases into its familiar place, the ropes taking up their gentle duty once more. The rocking grows even smaller until it is almost still. The mist thins, dissolving into the cool night air. The luminous lily pads dim and vanish, as if they were never there, or as if they have simply slipped back under the surface to wait for another quiet dreamer. The Lakekeeper lingers for a moment, a final presence at the edge of the water. It offers one last feeling, a soft assurance that rest is always available, that peace can be returned to again and again. Then it too fades, becoming nothing more than the calm itself. The traveler continues to sleep, now in the ordinary world again, though the ordinary world is still filled with quiet magic. The stars above the trees glow steadily. The breeze is gentle, the lake laps softly at the shore. Everything is settled. Now the story begins to slow, like a candle flame lowering itself. The traveler's breath is smooth and deep. The dock is steady and calm. The water is quiet. The trees are still. The night is wide. You can let your own body follow that same rhythm without trying. Let your breathing be easy. Let the muscles in your face soften. Let your shoulders rest. Let your hands be heavy and warm. There is nothing you need to hold, nothing you need to solve, only this gentle drifting. If any thought appears, let it float away like a small ripple that smooths itself out. If any sound in your space arrives, let it become part of the lake, part of the night, part of the calm. The traveler sleeps on, wrapped in comfort. The dock floats on, steady and kind. The lake breathes on, slow and patient. And you can drift too, down into softness, down into quiet, down into rest. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.